Namaskar students and welcome. In this video, we are going to see the question answers of 6th Science lesson number 10, force and types of force. So let's begin. First question children, choose the term to fill in the blanks. A. Dash has to be applied to change the dash of a dash object. So our answers are force has to be applied to change the direction of a moving object. Second, when an elephant drags a wooden log over the land, the forces that are applied on the log are dash, dash, dash. Muscular force, gravitational force and frictional force. These are the forces which are going to act on the wooden log. Because of elephant, it is muscular force. Because it is on the ground, even the earth shows gravitational force. And the frictional force is always going to be there, which is going to be the opposing force. A ball was set rolling on a large table. If its dash is to be changed, a dash will have to be applied on it. If its motion is to be changed, a force will have to be applied on it. We have to apply the force if we want to change its motion. The force of friction always acts dash the motion. It is acting against the motion, never along the motion. It is the opposing force, children. Next one, match the following. Group A and Group B. Children, we have written the answers directly here in Group B. An ox pulling a cart is going to show muscular motion. Lifting a heavy iron object with a crane, we are using big magnets, children. So, we are going to use magnetic force in this. Weighing with a spring balance. Usually children, the newspaper person is using this spring balance to weigh the papers. So it is gravitational force, children, because the spring balance works on gravitational force. Applying brakes to a bicycle, frictional force. We are applying brakes and those small brakes are going to touch the wheel and they will stop the wheel. So we are using frictional force. Picking up pieces of paper with a plastic scale, electrostatic force. The activity, children, where you are rubbing scale on your hair and then bringing it close to the bits of paper. Third question, one or more forces are acting in the following. Name them. An object falling from a tall building. On that object, children, gravitational force will be acting and the air will give air resistance. So frictional force will also act on the object. An aeroplane flying in sky. Mechanical force because it is a machine. Frictional force because the air will provide resistance. So the air will give frictional force. Muscular force because somebody is going to drive the aeroplane, and gravitational force because the earth is always pulling everything towards itself. Squeezing sugarcane juice with a squeezer. So we are using mechanical force because it is a simple machine, and then we are squeezing, so we are using muscular force also, and because the two things are rubbing over one another, there is frictional force also. Winnowing food grain, muscular force because we are going to use our hands. And then gravitational force because the wheat is going to fall down. Wheat is getting attracted to the earth. Wheat is falling down on the earth. So gravitational force is also acting on the food grains. Question number 4. Explain in your own words, giving one example each. Muscular force. Muscular force is the force applied by the muscles of our body. The fuel for muscular force is food. Muscular force is shown by living things. Non-living things are not going to show this force. Example, a man lifting weight uses muscular force. Bullocks pulling a cart. This is also an example of muscular force. There we are using the muscular force of bullocks. Next one, gravitational force. Gravitational force is the force because of which all objects fall down. Gravitational force is shown by the earth. Gravitational force depends on the height and weight of the falling object. This we saw in the activity which is given in our textbook. Example, a pebble falls down with less intensity as compared to a bigger stone. Yes, children, a bigger stone will fall down with a greater intensity. Next one, mechanical force. Mechanical force is the force present in machines. Mechanical force is shown by non-living things. Yes, children, mechanical force is present in machines. We see this force only in machines. Mechanical force is shown by non-living things. It is never shown by living things, children. The fuel for mechanical force is petrol, diesel, CNG, LPG, etc. Example, a car moves on road by using mechanical force. Yes, all the machines are going to use mechanical force. Next one, electrostatic force. Electrostatic force is a very weak force, children. Electrostatic force is shown by a few pairs of objects. All pairs of objects are not going to show this electrostatic force. Electrostatic force is produced because of friction by rubbing two objects. Example, when we remove sweater during winter, the hair on our body gets attracted to the sweater on rubbing and we hear a crackling sound. This happens because electrostatic force develops between them. Yes, children, sometimes you might have heard a crackling sound when you are removing your sweater. The hair of our body is attracted towards the wool because the hair and wool rub against each other. This develops electrostatic force. The force of friction. Frictional force is produced when two objects rub against each other. Yes, it is produced on rubbing. Frictional force is the opposing force and acts against the motion. It is always the opposing force, children. It will be acting against the motion, against the direction of motion. Frictional force can be increased or decreased depending on our need. Example, sports shoes have big spikes to increase friction, which helps the players in getting a stronger grip on ground. Yes, children, we can increase the friction and we can decrease the friction also. When you make the surface smooth, then the friction becomes less. When you make the surface rough, then the friction increases. Next one, magnetic force. Magnetic force is shown by magnets. Magnetic force has two poles, North Pole and South Pole. Magnetic force is strong at the poles and weak at the center. Magnetic force is used in doorbells, huge cranes, toys, etc. Yes, children, we all know that this force is shown only by magnets. There are two poles, North Pole and South Pole, and the whole power of magnet is present at the ends, not in the center. So these are the places where we use magnetic force, doorbells, cranes, toys, etc.
Thank you for watching till the end.